With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Hey there. Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome back, Ram fans. This is Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are proud members of the Fans First Sports Network. That's fansfirstsports.com. You can also follow us on YouTube. Our channel is at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. You'll hear from my co-host, Tom, on occasion as well. Hey, we're not Rams insiders. We're just longtime fans who love talking about our Los Angeles Rams. Let's get to it. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 424 of Rams Up. You know, we have spent the last several weeks pretty much obsessing with the 2024 NFL Draft and what the Rams are going to do. Mock drafts, prospects the Rams might be interested in. I thought this might be a good time, actually it might be our last chance, to take a look at our NFC West rivals, the Cardinals, Seahawks, and 49ers. Take a look at how they may be approaching the draft. So we're going to go through each three of these teams, and at the end here, we'll kind of sum it up with the focus on, is there anything the Rams should be concerned about? Will our rivals' draft picks potentially impact what the Rams do? Let's kick it off with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they have more draft capital than any team in the league, so this is an opportunity for Coach Jonathan Gannon to continue to move this team in the correct direction, and I think they are. I think he's a good coach, and they are a team that is positioned to really make some significant improvements in this draft. So what are their needs? Well, according to a couple of Cardinal websites I checked, their top three needs are wide receiver, cornerback, and the front seven. A little bit ambiguous there, but let's look at wide receiver and cornerback. Their starters right now at wide receiver, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and Zach Pascal. Wilson's the big receiver out of Stanford, had a good first year, but facing off with teams like the Rams and the 49ers, they need to add some firepower there. And the cornerback position, top four are Sean Murphy, Bunting, Starling Thomas, Garrett Williams, and Devad Wilson. Williams is the second-year player out of Syracuse, very highly rated, but had that torn ACL. So this could be viewed as his rookie year. They have the 4th, 27th, and 35th pick. That 27th pick is from the Texans. Well, let's take a look at what they did last year. They packaged the 12th and 34th pick and moved up to number 6 and took Ohio State offensive tackle Paris Johnson. And he started every game at right tackle, so that has worked out well for them so far. They also had the 41st pick, and they picked that edge rusher, B.J. Ojulari. He's the guy I thought the Rams might be interested in. He did not get a single start, but he came off the bench all 18 games, finished with 40 tackles and 4 sacks. Not a bad first year out of the gate for Ojulari, so there's some promise there. And their 2 third-rounders, they drafted Garrett Williams, the guy we mentioned, at pick 72, and then Michael Wilson at pick 94. Wilson, 38 catches, 565 yards, and 3 TDs, so not a bad rookie campaign. So not a bad draft for the Cardinals, especially if Ojulari takes it up a notch. So what are the Cardinals going to do with that 4th overall pick? Well, if this draft goes as expected, 3 quarterbacks are going to come off the board, and the Cardinals can have their pick of wide receivers. They got to add a wide receiver, and it's probably going to be Marvin Harrison. They could go Malik Neighbors. Some like Neighbors more than Harrison, actually. But if one of those top 3 quarterbacks drop, it would behoove the Cardinals to move back, pick up some extra picks, let someone come up and select one of those quarterbacks, and they could probably still get Rome Odunze or Brian Thomas, depending on how far they drop back. And it's very possible a team may want to come up to number 4, a team like the Vikings, and grab J.J. McCarthy. So they could drop back and address the cornerback spot, someone like Quinyon Mitchell, or a wide receiver, Brian Thomas. I think it's going to be one of those 2 positions. If they stay at 4, it's going to be Marvin Harrison. If they drop back a little bit, they could go cornerback and get a wide receiver later in the 2nd round, because there will be some good ones there at 35. Or flip it, reverse it, take Quinyon Mitchell, maybe Terrion Arnold, someone like that. But with the 4th and 27th picks, they're in really good shape. They could come out of this draft with Marvin Harrison and someone like Nate Wiggins or Kool-Aid McKinstry just by standing pat. But they could do a lot of moving around. They did last year. Would not be surprised if they did it again. But do you really want to trade out of 4 and miss on Marvin Harrison? I think they're going to stand pat and make that pick. And what about the Seahawks? Of all the NFC West teams, they have the least draft capital, coming in at number 26 in that regard. They have 7 picks, including the 16th overall, no 2nd round pick, and then the 81st in the 3rd round. What are their needs? Well, from what I can tell, they need a guard, they need a center, and they need a defensive tackle. That's what I garnered from various sites I visited. And what did they do last year? They had a pretty good draft, especially at the top. They had that 5th overall pick, courtesy of Denver. Thank you very much, Broncos. That silly trade for Russell Wilson. And they drafted Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois. And he had a great year. Great cover skills. He blitzes very well. And he was named to the all-rookie team. They had another 1st-round pick last year, number 20 overall. They took the wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, probably the heir apparent to Tyler Lockett. He played in all 17 games, 63 catches for 628 yards and 4 TDs. Not bad for a rookie campaign. They also drafted Derek Hall, the defensive end out of Auburn, in the 2nd round, number 37 overall. He played in 17 games, 0 starts, 38 combined tackles, no sacks. And they also drafted Zach Charbonnet, the running back out of UCLA. He was a guy a lot of Ram fans wanted. Basically the backup to Kenneth Walker. 108 carries, 462 yards, 4.3 average, 1 TD. Also had 33 receptions for 209 yards. So he shows promise. Probably didn't have the stats a lot of Seahawks fans were hoping for, or what Ram fans might have been expecting. And they also drafted the guard Anthony Bradford, and he started 10 games. Tremaine Ankrum, by the way, is his new backup. So what do I think the Seahawks are going to do with that 1st pick, the 16th pick overall? I saw one mock where they took Brock Bowers, the tight end. That would surprise me. Remember, their new coach is probably going to be more defensive-minded. So maybe Jerzon Newton, the defensive tackle out of Illinois that Ram fans have been eyeballing. It seems like the Seahawks have been trying to figure out their offensive line forever. So Troy Fuatanu would be an option, or they could trade back and maybe zero in on Jackson Powers Johnson, the guard out of Oregon. He's a guy that we really like here at Rams Up as well. But my prediction is offensive line. I think they're going to go offensive line. I think they have enough weapons there at running back and wide receiver. They're also going to have a need at linebacker with Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner both moving on, but they can address that later in the draft. Not a lot of draft capital, going to have to focus on the offensive line. So it's either going to be that or they trade back and add some more picks. Now, there have also been rumors, or maybe I should say suggestions, that the Seahawks draft a quarterback, maybe Michael Penix. Keep Penix up there in the Northwest. But the reason I don't think that's going to happen is, they traded for Sam Howell. Sam Howell may not be seen to have that high a ceiling as Michael Penix, but the Rams and the Seahawks both saw something in him, and he could be their quarterback of the future, perhaps. I don't think they're going to use their limited draft capital on a quarterback this year. It's going to be Geno Smith and Sam Howell. Now, I don't know if the Seahawks are in full-blown rebuild mode. They certainly wouldn't admit to that. They still have a lot of talent there. Now, they can stay competitive if they ace this draft, but to ace it would probably mean adding picks. So it's either offensive line in the first round or trade back and find two starters, offensive line and defensive line.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
Let's talk about the 49ers and what they might do in the draft. They have the 13th most draft capital. They have 10 picks. Rams, by the way, are 10th as far as draft capital goes. Their needs, really, it's about the offensive line. They've struggled on the right side there. And Trent Williams, 36 years old. So they got to start thinking about replacing Trent Williams and beefing up the right side of that offensive line. They did sign Brandon Parker, a Raiders free agent, but he's not the answer, probably just more of a depth guy. They also need to improve the cornerback position, Javarius Ward, he's good. Lenore is also pretty good. After that, really lacking in depth. They're also lacking in depth on the edge. Lost a lot of free agents. They got Joey Bosa and Leonard Floyd, but after that, not much. 10 draft picks. Their highest pick is number 31 overall. What did they do last year? I don't think it was a really good draft for the 49ers. Their first pick was in the 3rd round, and they took Jair Brown, the safety out of Penn State. He had a good season, 2 interceptions. He's a starter. Took over after Talanoa Hufanga got hurt. 2 additional 3rd-round picks. Jake Moody, the kicker out of Michigan. He had an up-and-down year, pretty eventful. He certainly has not proven to be worthy of that 3rd-round pick. They also picked up the Alabama tight end Cameron Latou at the end of the 3rd round, pick number 101. He tore his meniscus in the preseason, missed the whole year. And a 5th-round pick of note, cornerback Darrell Luter out of South Alabama, mostly a special teams player. Interestingly, Brown, Moody, and Luter all significantly impacted that Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs. Brown in a good way. He had an interception. Moody missed an extra point that ended up being very costly. And Luter, he was the one that failed to get out of the way of that punt, went off his foot. Chiefs recovered and on the next play scored. If it weren't for that play, we probably wouldn't know who he is. So what are they going to do with that first pick? They could go tackle. J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims, Tyler Goyton could all be on the board. They could go Jordan Morgan and Graham Barton. Guys that are a little bit more versatile could play tackle or guard, or they could address depth at the edge position. Chop Robinson could last that long. Darius Robinson out of Missouri could still be there. He probably will be, actually. And at cornerback, another strong possibility, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Kamari Lassiter, Mike Sanristil, all good options for the 49ers. Now, what would I do if I was the 49ers? I'd draft another kicker. No, seriously. If I was the 49ers, I would address that offensive line. Man, if they don't keep that sealed up good for Brock Purdy, that whole offense falls apart. Very similar to the Rams situation. Rams have figured it out, I think. 49ers have not. Really thought Trent Williams would retire by now, but apparently he's coming back. And that defense, we all just assume that that's a great defense, an elite defense, but some chinks in the armor were really exposed last year. And the 49ers really thrive on having that elite defense. They've had that for several years now. And at the end of last season, I don't know, just didn't see it. So offensive line, or do you add to that secondary or edge depth? I don't know. Probably depends on what's on the board there. But my guess would be offensive line. So what does this have to do with the Rams draft? Well, let's look at this. The Cardinals will almost certainly be focusing on wide receiver and cornerback. And I know most of us Ram fans would love to see the Rams land a guy like Rome Odunze or Brian Thomas. These are guys the Cardinals could move back and select. And the cornerbacks, Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold. Cardinals aren't going to pick one of those guys at number 4, but they could drop back and still get one of them. But I don't think the Rams will be too upset if that happens. I don't think that's a position the Rams are locked in on in the first round, that's for sure. Then there's the Seahawks. They will definitely be looking at the trenches. So Johnny Newton and Byron Murphy could both be on their radar, and that's in the Seahawks sweet spot, number 16 overall. That's a valid place to pick either one of those guys. But hey, you know what? They can't pick them both, right? And they could very possibly pick an offensive lineman as well. So yes, the Seahawks could grab a guy the Rams want, and maybe that's an argument for the Rams leapfrogging, getting in front of the Seahawks and grabbing the guy that both teams might be interested in. So the more you think about it, Rams looking at defensive line and potentially some offensive line for the future. Seahawks looking at the same thing. Rams got to figure out what the Seahawks might do and decide if they need to jump ahead of the Seahawks and get the guy they want. I don't think they really need to. I think there's going to be a 6 or 8 man pod that Les Snead is going to identify. I think Byron Murphy is going to be in that pod for sure. If it looks like one of them's going to slip to the Rams, he'll sit tight. If it looks like 3 or 4 of them are going to slip to the Rams, he may trade back. 49ers won't impact the Rams' first pick. I don't think the 49ers have the ammunition to jump in front of the Rams. That would be a real reach, but they could impact the Rams' second pick, but it's too hard to figure that out. Too many options, too many possibilities. I'm not going to get into that. I think the biggest thing we have to consider is, are the Rams worried about the Seahawks taking a defensive lineman they really want? Now, how the 49ers could impact the Rams is if they decided to go edge with their pick. It's very possible they could. And if the Rams don't go edge in the first round and the 49ers do, really thins the field as far as edge rushers, quality edge rushers that might be available to the Rams at 52. And why am I talking about this? It's one thing to lose a player that you really want to another team, to have another team select a prospect that you really, really wanted, but it's magnified when it's a divisional rival. That's why I'm talking about this. There's guys we really want for our Rams, and we just hate to see them selected by a divisional rival and play against them for 4 or 5 years. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.